So the song that we're going to look at now is How Great Is Our God, or The Splendor of a King by Chris Tomlin. Now, if you're just getting going with your guitar playing, this is a really good one because there's some really easy chords in the key of G that we can learn with just 1 or 2 finger chord changes, which are really, really useful, and you can apply them to other songs. But also we're going to be looking at some strumming patterns as well that allow you to both play along with the drummer in a way that gives a really good rhythm for the entirety of the song. But also, if you haven't got a drummer, we can use the same thing with these strumming patterns I'm going to show you to mimic the sound of the drummer, so mimicking the sound of the kick drum and the snare drum, using the strumming pattern and the different the strings that you strum actually on your guitar to do a similar sort of sounding thing. So there's quite a lot of learning actually in this. So the first thing we're going to do is actually look at the strumming pattern itself. Now the song uses G-shaped chords. But it's actually written, often it's played in the key of A flat. I've even seen it played in the key of C and every variant in between. So generally speaking, we're going to use a capo or a capo for it. If you want to play it in the key of A flat, we're going to still use the G shapes, but put it on fret number 1. Some people play it in B flat, and therefore it's fret number 3. And then some people, particularly if you've got a congregation that is, has more females in it, if you play it in the key of C, that sometimes works as well quite nicely. But for the time being, when I show you the chords and the strumming, I'm going to take the capo off and just pop it on the end there, and we'll just use normal G shapes. So the strumming to start with, if you just put on a regular G chord. Now, the way I play a G for these kind of songs is to play it with 4 fingers. Different people have different ways of playing G, and they're all valid. It's all absolutely fine, but this gives you a certain sound. So what we have here, I'm just going to give you a heads up on the way that I count the strings. So string 6 is the thickest string. String 1 is the thinnest string. So we're talking about finger 2 here, your middle finger, on string number 6, fret 3. Finger 1 on string 5, fret 2 as normal, but then I definitely want fingers 3 and 4 on strings 2 and 1, so it's 2 and 1 there, both at the 3rd fret. So some people play G like that, play it like that. Okay, so let's go with the strumming pattern itself, and I'm going to play it to you, and then we're going to split it up. So it sounds like this. And what I'm doing there, I'm playing something called a 16th note strumming pattern. So in other words, my hand per beat, so if the beat is 1, 2, 3, 4, my hand is moving a maximum, and it's keeping moving, of 16 times in the bar. So 4 times on every beat. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And the way we get our strumming pattern is by just either missing out some of those strums or adding in some of those strums, and that gives you a nice rhythm. So what we do on beats 1 and 2, just do a down and a down. So it's 1, 2, just like that, 3, 4 with me. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. So nice and easy. Right, now on beat 3, I want an up, down, up, down. So it's 1, 2, up, down, up, down. And if you're not used to this, make sure you put the first one of beat 3 as an up. So it's down, down, up, down, up, down. So with me, and. So it's down, down, up, down, up, down. Keep the hand moving. Down, down, up, down, up, down. And then on the 4th beat, we're going to go down. Again, so it's down, down, up, down, 4. So it's 1, 2, up, down, 4. And 1, 2, up, down, 4. And 1, 2, up, down, 4. Now, if you're having trouble with that, just pause your player as it is, and then just get that strumming pattern, and then we'll carry on, okay? Right, so here we go. So it's 1, 2, up, down, 4. Now also we're going to got a little up just before we go back to the 1 again. So it sounds like this. 1, 2, up, down, 4. And 1, 2, up, down, 4. And 1, 2, up, down, 4. And 1, 2, up, down, 4. So the next job with the strumming pattern is to make it sound a little bit more like the kick and the snare of the drums. So what I mean by that is that if you hear a drummer playing, your strumming patterns should fit in with what the kick drum, so the drum on the floor, and the snare, which is the one right between the knees there of the drummer. So you've got to fit in with what that drummer's doing. So very often they're playing the kick on the 1 and the 3 of the beat, so 1, 2, 3 with their foot. And then with the hand, they're playing on beats 2 and 4, so it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's kick, snare, kick, snare. And your strumming should fall in with that. Now a kick drum sounds duller and it sounds lower. So what I tend to do is play the low strings for that. So just hitting the kind of the 3 bottom bass strings, it doesn't have to be too accurate. And then when I play the top strings, that sounds a bit more like the snare drum. So if you just go down, so it's bottom, top, bottom, top, bottom, top, 1, 2. So it's 1, 2. And then we add in the other bit of the strumming pattern. We're going to replicate that kick and the snare. So it's on beat 1, it's down, are the low strings, and then 2, it's treble. And then it's up, down, on the low strings, and then the treble for beat 4. So it's 1, 2, up, down, 4. So it's bottom, top, top. So it's bottom, top, bottom, top, bottom, top, bottom, top. So again, if you're not sure, just pause that on your player and try and get that. And then the last time, we've got to add that last little up. So it's bottom, top, top, up, bottom, top, top. Next, let's look at the rest of the chords. So now we've got the strumming pattern. We're going to do the chords with it. Now, when I play a G, I can actually take this first finger off and just mute that A string there, that's string 5, and it gives a nice ringing sort of G sound. So we've got G for the first bar, so let's try that together. So 1, 2, 3, strum, and bottom, top, and then it goes to an E minor. And what I'm doing, I'm putting E minor there, just as you'd normally know. And then your 3rd and 4th fingers are staying on strings 2 and 1 at fret number 3. Now we do a bit more about this on the regular DVDs, so the Worship Guitar course, it's volume 3, talks a little bit about extra chords you can put in there. This is actually an E minor 7, but we're just going to call it an E minor for this purposes. So both of those chords are actually interchangeable. So, and we'll do the same strumming pattern, so 3, 4, so it's bottom, top, next chord is a C add 9, which is interchangeable for a regular C. So if you only know a regular C like that, that's fine. But what we're doing here, if you go back to your G chord with the 4 fingers, like that, and then if you move fingers 1 and 2, so just they're over from strings 6 and 5 to 5 and 4. So you're just moving it up a string, and then don't play that 6th string. It's a really, really wonderful substitute for the C chord. So that's a C add 9, but we'll just call it a C. So let's try that with the strumming. 3, 4, so it's bottom, top. So it's bottom, top, up, down, 4. So it's down, down, up, down, 4. And one little tip there is to push this 2nd finger into the string 6, so it's actually, it's dull, it's not making any sound there. So when I'm playing the chord, that 6th string isn't ringing. If I don't push my finger into it, so I'm not actually pushing my finger over on top of it, I'm just pushing it into it. If I don't do that, you kind of get a nasty kind of sound there, so just push it into it and it stops it. Okay, so what I want you to do is just work round those 4 chords, those 3 chords there. So G, E minor, C, and then pause your player and come back. Next chord we're going to look at, it's just basically a D. Now, all I'm doing there, I'm still got my third and fourth fingers in exactly the same place. So if you keep your little finger on there, that's a D sus4, but if you take it off, it's just a regular D. So let's work around the same strumming pattern with those chords. So here we go. So 1, 2, 3 on the G. So it's bottom, top, and again, E minor, C add 9. Now let's go back to the G for the verse, so G. E minor. C add 9. Back to the G. Now let's approach the chorus, which is pretty similar, but I'll give you a couple of extra little tips that's going to help you as well. So firstly, is just roll around the chords, and this time obviously we add in the D that I just showed you a little earlier. So here we go. So how great is our God? So 1, 2, 3, G. E minor, and C add 9 to the D now, to the G. Now let's follow that chorus again, so keep on the G and G. Is our God, sing with me, E minor, C add 9 to the D, G. So again, just pause your player and work around those 4 chords. One last little tip you can do on this is a little walk down when we go from the chorus, how great is our God. And the same thing happens when it says you're the name above all names as well. We can do a little walk down from the G to the F sharp to the E. And what we're doing there, so you've got your straightforward G chord, you lift your first 2 fingers off, you put your first finger on string 6, fret number 2, so for the F sharp, and then you go to the E minor. And I'll just play that through with you. So it's 3, 4, G, 1, 2, 3, F sharp, E minor. Let's try it again. 2, 3 on the G. How great is our God. G, F sharp, E. 2, 3 once more. G. G, F sharp, E minor. So there you have all the elements of the song itself. So don't forget, firstly, if you're using the strumming pattern, to go between the bass strings and the treble strings, because it really does change the way you play guitar, and it really affects the dynamics of your guitar playing as well as the dynamics of the song. And then don't forget those chords. So we've got a G, E minor 7, C add 9, D.